The top stories for the hour. Africa charges ahead with clean mobility at AEW 2025. And experts say Africa's economic future depends on tailored skills development. Hello and welcome to TBC World, the voice of Pan-Africanism. It's me, Makrela Isuyum, with today's update. To stay with us. In a formal ceremony held at the National Palace, President Taye Atske-Selassie received a letter of credence from 14 newly appointed ambassadors, marking a renewed chapter in Ethiopia's diplomatic engagement with countries across the globe. The ambassadors represent a diverse array of nations, including Mauritania, Kazakhstan, the Holy See, Vatican, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Serbia, Sweden, Canada, Switzerland, Egypt, Hungary, San Marino, Turkmenistan, as well as the Arab League. The credential presentation underscores Ethiopia's continued commitment to strengthening bilateral and multilateral relations across regions and global institutions. The ceremony was attended by Minister of Foreign Affairs Gideon Timotheos and State Minister for Foreign Affairs Birhanu Tsaggaye. Former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga has passed away at the age of 80, family source confirmed to the BBC. Odinga died on Wednesday in India, where he was receiving medical treatments. He reportedly collapsed during a morning walk and was rushed to Devamatha Hospital. According to the hospital officials, he suffered a cardiac arrest and was declared dead at 9:52 local time, 4:22 GMT, after resuscitation efforts failed. In recent weeks, speculation have swirled about Odinga's health, though his family and close political allies had consistently downplayed concerns over his condition. Kenyan President William Ruto led tribute to Odinga, describing him as a beacon of courage and a father of our democracy, highlighting his enduring impact on Kenya's political landscape. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also extended his condolence, writing on a social media platform, X, formerly Twitter, "On behalf of the government of Ethiopia, I extend my sincere condolence on the passing of former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga. May he rest in peace." A towering figure in Kenya politics for decades, Odinga contested the presidency 5 times and was widely respected for his role in championing democratic reforms, national reconciliations, and regional integration. Earlier this year, he launched a bid for the chairmanship of the African Union Commission, earning broad support from across the continent. His passing marks an end of an era in East African politics, and his legacy as a tireless advocate for justice, democracy, and Pan-Africanism will endure.
المنشط الميزان وفرج الأميم السلام جمال العالم جمال العالم اللهم صل على محمد أمة الإيمان منشط الميزان وفرج الأميم السلام جمال العالم جمال العالم اللهم صل على محمد
ወልዩላህ ናቸው፣ የአላህ ወልይ ናቸው። ያው ሲልሲላን ወደ ጉራጌ ሀገር ያመጡ ከዳና ይዞ ወደ ጉራጌ ሀገር ያስገቡ እስልምናን ያስፋፉ ወልይ ናቸው።
وفرج الأميم المعز السلام جمال العالم جمال العالم
እጅግ በጣም ታሪካዊ የቱሪስት መስህብ ስፍራ ነው። የሃይማኖት ተቋም ማዕከል ነው። በነገራችን ላይ ለእስልምናው ብቻ ተከታይ ሳይሆን እንደው በክርስትናው ዘንድም ምን ይባላል መሰለህ ያብሬት ያናጀ ተብላሸ ይባላል። ያብሬትን ያላየ በቃ ተበላሽቷል አይነት ነው። በጣም በጉጉት በጣም ብዙ ዋኑ ቱሪስቶች ከገጠር ነው ልጅ ሆኜ ሁላ ታሪኩን ሰማለው።
بما في قلوبهم قل استهزئوا إن الله محيج عنها في غائبه وما أدراك ما يوم.
This week, Africa's top leaders, innovators and industry pioneers gather at the EEW 2025, the continent's flagship conference on zero-emission transport and electric mobility to accelerate the clean transport revolution. At the opening ceremony, Ethiopia's Minister of Transport and Logistics, Alemu Sime, reaffirmed the country's bold commitment to electric mobility, unveiling plans for a comprehensive national framework aimed at fast-tracking the adoption of electric vehicles across Ethiopia. Jerusalem Bazaha reports.
African E-Mobility Week 2025 brings together policymakers, industry leaders, investors, innovators and development partners to fast-track the transition to electric mobility across Africa. The focus aligning on policies, infrastructure, financing and technology to accelerate the shift toward zero-emission transport. At the opening ceremony, Ethiopia's Minister of Transport and Logistics, Alemu Sime, highlighted the country's commitment to e-mobility. He shared Ethiopia's progress in developing a national legal framework to support the rollout of electric vehicles.
Ethiopia is fundamentally reimagining its transportation ecosystem, recognizing that mobility sits at the intersection of economic development, environmental sustainability, and quality of life. Our progress today demonstrates what is possible when political will aligns with practical action. Ambitious policy frameworks. In January 2024, Ethiopia became one of the first countries globally to ban the importation of non-electric vehicles. This bold decision was driven by both environmental imperatives and economic rationality, as we were spending more than $4 billion annually on fuel imports, a massive drain on our foreign currency reserves.
The minister emphasized that Africa has a unique opportunity with its vast renewable energy resource to drive the global shift to sustainable transport while also boosting local economies.
The road to a fully electrified transportation future is still being paved. But as we convene here in Addis Ababa, the diplomatic capital of Ethiopia, Africa, we send a powerful message. Africa is not merely preparing to adopt technologies developed elsewhere. We are actively shaping the future of transportation on our own.
Participants from across the continent called on African governments to revise tax policies and introduce targeted incentives to make electric mobility more accessible and attractive to both customers and investors.
Investors who come into Africa have free access, free access into other African countries without any blocks, okay? We should be able to create interoperability such that I can easily switch from one charging station to another. Number two, I can even move from one African country to another African country with my e-vehicle. If that is done, and we have charging stations across the corridors, okay, investing in Africa for these businesses should not be a challenge.
One of the things could be harmonizing the taxation, that could be. Then another area that needs to be thought through in terms of policy is the issue of safety and infrastructure development for EVs. So what much as many countries are adopting, and it is very exciting, we still have the biggest challenge for EV adoption is energy. It is, of course, the infrastructure, and all this requires some kind of policy reform for all countries to equally adopt electric mobility.
As Africa positions itself at the forefront of the clean transport revolution, Africa E-Mobility Week 2025 signals a critical step forward in turning ambitious plans into tangible progress.
Africa's path to economic transformation lies in equipping its youth with the right skills, customized to each country's unique needs and backed by sustainable investment. That was the resounding message from the expert at the African Skills Summit held in Addis Ababa. Lourdes Lobdi, Managing Director of iWork in Africa, told EBC World that closing the gap between education and real-world job demands and crucial for driving inclusive growth across the continent. Kasaun Chane has the full report.
A revolution in skills development held to the unique needs of African nations is essential for future economic success, experts declared at the ongoing African Skills Summit in Addis Ababa. Lourdes Lobedi, Managing Director of iWork in Africa, delivered a powerful message emphasizing the urgency of bridging a gap between education and the evolving demands of the continent's job market. Managing Director Lobedi stressed that Africa's prosperity requires equipping youth with the skills that fuel industrialization.
I think for me, and one of the reasons why I came to the African Skills Summit, is to be strategic about it. When you're strategic about it, then you know exactly what are the resources, you can coordinate the resources, and you can plan to get results. But if everybody is just doing their own thing without any planification, we won't be able to get results. So in order for us to move forward with industrialization and get our youth equipped with the skills that they need, we need to be strategic, from the policymakers to the institutions to the education that is actually offered to the youth, so that the education matches with the needs of the industrialization as well.
Lobedi highlighted entrepreneurship but cautioned that success depends on financing.
So I think what is important for the youth is not only following the trends or following what education is available to them immediately, but to research a little bit more about the market and what the actual market is requesting from them, what kind of skills the market is demanding from them before they engage in education.
The summit addressed the need for initiatives to reflect diverse African perspectives. Her recommendations included market research financing mechanisms, vocational training investment, and addressing unique national contexts.
The thing is that entrepreneurship is very nice to say about it, but it's all about financing. So if you don't have the financing mechanism to support entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship by itself will not be a success. So what policymakers and leadership needs to do is to provide the mechanisms to support financing startups and entrepreneurs, and from the entrepreneurs and finances start to be able to also not be ashamed to do partnerships. Sometimes people think that they need to do everything by themselves, and if you find the right like-minded people, you can partner and be entrepreneurs together as well.
The summit drew to a close. It was clear that Lobby's vision resonated deeply with attendees, with a collective commitment to fostering strategic skill development and entrepreneurship. The path forward could very well reshape the economic landscape of Africa, empowering its youth to thrive in a competitive global environment.
The World Bank has reiterated its firm commitment to Ethiopia's reform-driven development agenda, pledging continued support through key flagship initiatives aimed at driving inclusive growth and macroeconomic stability. The renewed support came during high-level discussion on the sideline of the 2025 World Bank IMF annual meeting in Washington, D.C., where World Bank Vice President for Eastern and Southern Africa, Nidiame Diop, met with Ethiopia's Finance Minister Ahmed Shide and a senior delegation. Also part of the Ethiopia's delegation was the National Bank Governor Eyob Takaling, senior advisor to the Prime Minister Taklol Datnafu, and other top officials. Diop, who recently visited Ethiopia, commended the government's unified and strategic approach, noting that the country's reform agenda has delivered notable macroeconomic achievements within just a year of its rollout. Finance Minister Ahmed Shide in turn thanked the World Bank for its vital financial and technical support, describing it as instrumental in driving Ethiopia's transformative development efforts. And he also shared update on the implementation of pro-poor reforms, emphasizing the need for sustained engagement to maintain reform momentum. The meeting underscores the shared vision for Ethiopia's future, one built on strong partnership, strategic reform, and a commitment to inclusive and sustainable development. That's all we had for today's update, but before I go, let's have a recap of the top stories once again. Africa charges ahead with clean mobility at AEW 2025. And experts say Africa's economic future depends on tailored skills development. Thank you for tuning in to EBC World, the voice of Pan-Africanism. As we realize, see you in today's update. Goodbye.